fact he was or that he did it wrong.
Though we did have the case in Ferguson where it seems as though the DA was too close to the police department.
But in Staten Island and in every county in this state, the district attorney is elected by the people. Those are the people that
but stay on
want
that
this
for a second, Brad,
individual
because if
to
you
make
take,
these decisions.
Take Thompson and take Donovan, okay? Both elected by the people of Brooklyn and Staten Island, respectively, but nobody at this table is going to convince me that they both wouldn't go to the same set of facts and decide two possibly different approaches on how vigorously to pursue an indictment. Well, so does it depend on the zip code that you're in, or the politics potentially of the person that's in that office? It's an elected office, on what kind of vigorous prosecution they're going to have? Think about that.
Look, the idea is I'm a former assistant district attorney from the Bronx. First of all, there are units that are set up to prosecute these cases, okay? They know that it's always uncomfortable to prosecute cops. But the concept is, and the process is you go into the grand jury, you present the evidence. Understand one thing, going back to your question, is that it's also the makeup of the grand juries themselves. They are going to be different than in Brooklyn than they will be in Staten Island, and that's something that you have to deal with. And it'll be different somewhere up in somewhere up in Buffalo and other places in this country. But the reality is, from a functional standpoint, these DA's offices, I was in the investigations bureau. Part of that bureau prosecuted cops, okay? And that was what they did. That's what we had investigators, the independent investigators who were able to manage.
It's a lot easier to get an indictment in the Bronx than it is in Staten Island with the population of Staten Island.
The Attorney General doesn't have these resources. They're not used to violent crime. They're not used to working in this kind of area. So to me, to throw this back over to the Attorney General's office makes no sense. Maybe I'm partial because I'm an assistant.
You're not alone in
that's
this.
who I was.
But Dom, he mentioned, did the Attorney General, that Frankfurter quote about the importance of the appearance of justice. With how cynical the public is right now, and take the Akai Gurley as the perfect example, which is the next high-profile case.
I don't know if that's the perfect example. That one's accidental. I don't think much is going to come out of that case, but we'll see.
Well, the public, whether or not it's following the letter of the law or not, they're saying once bitten, twice shy, twice bitten, no way. Is it important that a third party take the case, even if, you know, everything you know about Thompson is he's going to go full bore here for an indictment? If you were counseling all parties involved, would you say, give it to the AG on this one, or do you think, from a precedent standpoint, you got to stay at the DA level?
I don't know if it should. I've listened to some valid arguments around the table. I don't know if it should go to the AG, but it should go to someone. Imagine this, Richard. A local prosecutor elected by the community is going to take on the police, well, give up his or her power to pass on the case, and, I hate to be cynical, give up on all those media headlines that's going to come out of that case. You're not going to get one DA that's going to willingly step aside. They love to see their names in the paper, period. So when you look back at the history of this, no governor wants to step in. For example, Cuomo didn't step in on how it be. No, I'm talking about the father. His father didn't step in. That's a great misconception. Mario Cuomo his back was put to the corner by Sharpton and others. And when he was forced with no other alternative, then he appointed Joe Hines and Howard Beach. It's very difficult. And finally, I don't mean to monopolize the time, you have to look at the relationship between Snyderman and Cuomo. Cuomo's never going to sign off on this with Snyderman. It's never going to happen. Cuomo may put forth...
He's shown initial support for it.
He dangled it, but he also raised many questions. Cuomo may ultimately go with something like this, but it won't be Snyderman's initiative. I can assure you of that.
Well, it'll be very well defined if it is.
Yes,
we very well defined as to when this happens and in certain locations. Or
well, you can appoint a special prosecutor anytime they want.
He sure can.
So it makes no difference. When I was a Bronx DA and the death penalty came into play, and there was a cop killing, and I hate to reiterate this and bring it back to Rob Johnson's memory, but when Rob Johnson's DA currently and was at the time, is they yanked the case from him. And they said, you know, unless you're going to pursue a death penalty here, and you've argued that you never would, okay, then we're going to hand it to the AG, and that's what happened. So the power still exists. I don't know. To me, this is just a political thing, posture.
All right, and we want you at home to weigh in on this one. And here's our question tonight for you. So head over to Facebook and Twitter. Who should handle questionable police shootings? The AG, as he would like here, the district attorneys, where the power currently lies, or Should we go to an independent prosecutor altogether? All right. When we